This episode of the Indy Boys Racing Podcast was recorded on February 8th, 2022. So if there's any news that we missed in the video, then sorry. Also, there's a slight trigger warning, and the trigger warning is for some slightly mild language, as there may be some used in the video, so if that's going to trigger you, please watch with caution. But other than that, enjoy the episode.
Welcome back to the Indy Boys Racing Podcast. My name is Tristan Grider, and I am always joined with my buddies Daniel Chaney and Justin Cox. How are we doing today, boys?
I'm doing great. Got the new mic, the new setup, so I'm chilling. How you doing, Daniel?
I'm doing really good. I don't have a new mic, but we're vibing just the same. I'm ready to get this going.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that me and Daniel actually have voices because me and Daniel both lost our voices this weekend. So glad that we can get this going with both of us having semi-full voices. I'm still not back to complete full, but should be good. Full week of racing news. Full week of racing. The LA Clash was this past weekend. We're going to talk all about the LA Clash. We're going to talk about some F1 news. Going to be talking about IndyCar, NASCAR. A lot of stuff going on. Let's transition into motorsport media. All right, now let's transition into some motorsport media. I'm going to start with the NASCAR news that is not the LA Clash. Let's go ahead and start with the Cup Series. JJ Yeley has announced that he will be running for MBM Motorsports in a second car for that team in the Daytona 500. Going to be in the 55 car, sponsored by another cryptocurrency. So we're seeing a lot of cryptocurrency sponsors in NASCAR now. Pretty interesting to see. Kaz Grala is going to be running the 50 car for the Money Team Racing. They're going to be sponsored by Pit Viper, so that's really cool to see Kaz Grala in the Money Team, which is not a fake thing, I guess, anymore. So it's super cool to see Floyd Mayweather having a NASCAR team. Really dope. Two things I never thought I would say in my life are Michael Jordan owning a NASCAR team and Floyd the Money Mayweather owning a NASCAR team. So that's pretty dope.
Pitbull. Don't forget Pitbull.
Oh my gosh, Pitbull.
Pitbull, yeah, especially Pitbull.
We'll talk all about Pitbull later in the LA Clash news. Moving on to the Xfinity Series size, the only thing that's really worth mentioning is Jesse Iwuji Motorsports announced in partnership with Emmett Smith that they will be fielding a full-time ride. This was already known, but yesterday in the Hall of Fame, they announced that they will be running the number 34 Chevrolet, so that's pretty cool. Over there on the Truck Series side of things, I got two stories over there. First one is that Christian Eckes will be running full-time for Thor Sport in that 98 truck. That is super exciting for him. Yeah. Love Christian Eckes over there. Glad they could finally get him in a full-time seat as Johnny Sarter will be leaving Thor Sport to run for a different team. Don't remember what that team is off the top of my head. Look it up later and maybe I'll talk about it next week. Roper Racing, this is something that's kind of more underrated from one of the more family-owned teams. Roper Racing in the 04 truck has announced that they will not be running the full season in the Truck Series this season. They have announced that they will not enter Daytona, and there are rumors that they will not be running until the middle of the season if they run at all. This is surprising as Roper Racing placed third at Daytona last season. This one kind of came out of nowhere. Obviously, an underrated team. I don't know. I was just kind of surprised that Roper's not going to be running full time. But yeah, that's all the NASCAR news I have. Daniel, what's going on in IndyCar, man?
Yeah, so in IndyCar, there's a little bit of news. Nothing too crazy as we are getting into the season. So don't expect anything too insane to come out in the next few weeks. But the first big thing is Carlin and Juncos Hollinger Racing have officially entered a technical alliance, and so during this off season, it's been speculated that they're either going to merge or have some sort of alliance or a buyout of some sort, because obviously at some of their shops that we had seen certain haulers for the other team, and so we didn't know if they were going to merge to have a 2-car team or just stay as a 1-car team with Callum Ilott. So it looks like they're going to stay with just Callum Ilott because the person who was suspected to be the second car of Max Chilton has retired from IndyCar, at least on a full-time basis. Wow. I don't know if he'll ever come back to just run the 500 with, say, a smaller team. But that kind of came out of nowhere, and I saw a lot of people weren't really talking about it. I know he's not really a big name, and he wasn't running for a big name team, but it still stinks to see someone.
He's still Max.
Yeah.
His whole brand was that he's Max Chilton, and
yeah, it is still weird to kind of see someone who's been a a regular in the past few years kind of step out potentially permanently. So we'll see what happens with that. I don't know if he'll ever return just for a part-time basis, but we'll see. And then the next thing, so the 11 car that is being run by Tatiana Calderon for street and road course races in this IndyCar season. It's still unannounced who's going to be driving it for ovals, but the big rumor right now is J.R. Hildebrandt. Obviously, with AJ Foyt Racing, he ran the Indy 500 last year in the one car. We'll see if he runs the 11 with them for just the ovals. I could see it happening. It's not confirmed. It's very rumored, but it's been reported that there's like a 90% chance that this is the final decision they end up going with. So we shall see. And then my last bit of IndyCar news. RC Enerson has said that he is still eyeing an appearance in the Indy 500 this year. While this doesn't seem like big news necessarily, the thing that makes it big news for me is he said that he doesn't have a team yet. So obviously Top Gun Racing either might not be returning or just won't potentially be having RC Enerson to try and qualify this year. But the reason he said, the main reason that he doesn't really have a team is he said that a lot of teams that have a set lineup don't really plan on expanding for the 500. Obviously, a lot of teams typically add like 1 or 2 cars, or there'll be smaller teams that kind of pop up. So it'll be interesting, especially since like a lot of teams like Penske have been rumored that like potentially run an extra car like the 22, since they're not doing it full time, and potentially have someone like Kyle Larson run the 500. So with the fact that he's saying that a lot of teams aren't really planning on having extra cars or expanding, kind of begs the question, like how many extra people will we be seeing in the 500, since it's been like rumored we'll have a massive field compared to previous years. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens with that, and that's about all I got for the IndyCar side of things. Jay, what you got over on the other sides?
So I don't have much for like anything but F1. Yesterday was one of my favorite F1 drivers' birthday. Pierre Gasly, happy late birthday, I guess technically, because we're recording this the day after. But yeah. Haas revealed their new livery. It was kind of like a copy paste scheme, so it wasn't anything too extravagant, but
It's also Haas. Like
yeah,
they like
I know.
copy paint schemes. Like they I feel like I've seen the same paint scheme on some like Stuart Haas cars
Yeah.
since 2017.
Oh,
like
that CNC Haas on Cole Custer's car.
for real. I've seen
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
car since like, well, they've changed it up a little bit, but at least since 2019. Back when
it's been
Suarez
about
was
the
in
same.
that car. When Suarez was in that car in 2019, I've seen that car, the same paint scheme, for almost 4 seasons now, and it's starting to get old. But
Yeah.
anyway, continue.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully they don't copy and paste their performance from last season, because I hope I hope they do better. I honestly, genuinely do mean that though. Like, I hope they do better this next season, because they've been focusing a lot on the 2022 car. But the last thing I have is the next car reveals are Red Bull is tomorrow, Aston Martin is February 10th, McLaren's February 11th, AlphaTauri is February 14th, Williams is February 15th, which was just announced like today, like earlier this morning. Ferrari February 17th, Mercedes February 18th, Alpine February 21st, Alfa Romeo February 27th, which will be revealed like after testing for some reason. I don't know why, but okay. But yeah, that's really all I got for over here for this week. So
Yeah, and I remembered one more thing. I did not put this down in my notes because this news happened today. So let's transition back to NASCAR. NASCAR Xfinity Series, Joe Gibbs Racing has announced that they will reveal a driver tomorrow. And by tomorrow, we are recording this on February 8th. So that means that this will come out on Wednesday. Our episode doesn't come out normally until Thursdays. So this news will come out the day after we're filming this.
yeah,
They revealed a silhouette of a driver that did not look like Ty Gibbs.
it's gonna be a Trevor Bain's younger brother.
It looks like Trevor Bain.
No, it's gonna be his
And
younger brother.
he's 14.
No,
He's like 14, isn't he?
I don't think so. I think he's old enough to race in Xfinity.
I don't know. But
Yeah, let me do some research.
it looked like Trevor Bain. I'm just saying. And people around the community, if you're on Motorsport Twitter, like I feel like I was one of the first people to comment. Like, I'm not the only one that thinks this looks like Trevor Bain, right? And If you follow me on Twitter, it's normally down there at Tristan Grider _. But I'm shocked if it's not Ty Gibbs, and maybe the photo just looked not like Ty Gibbs, but height wise and hair wise, it looked like Trevor Bayne. And Trevor Bayne liked the tweet, and so did Trevor Bayne's company, and so did a lot of Trevor Bayne's past sponsors. So interesting.
Actually, I'm
If
pretty
Tre-
sure. Sorry, I'm pretty
Go
sure
ahead.
Ty Gibbs is already confirmed though, isn't he?
He is,
hasn't-
but they haven't revealed him. Like, he's not running trucks because there's no trucks available. Like, and if they would run him in trucks, he would run that 50-51 truck, but half the races over there are already being ran by Corey Haim and Drew Dollar.
Yeah.
So there's no place for him over there. I mean, come on. The guy won how many races in Xfinity last season on a part-time schedule? He won how many, like
right.
4 races, right?
Something
And
like
he
that.
won Rookie of the Year, and he wasn't a full-time driver. Like, he won Rookie of the Year the same year that he won the ARCA championship. And I cannot believe that he's not confirmed yet full-time. He's pretty much confirmed, but unless this is Joe Gibbs saying that Trevor Bayne is going to be their reserve driver, then I don't know what the big news is about the announcement. But anyway, just wanted to put that out there that Trevor Bayne might be going to Joe Gibbs Racing, and if he does, I'm going to be shocked.
Who's in the 20 this year? I don't think anybody's in the 20. 'cause
There
Harrison-
isn't anyone in the 20
So
because I'm
it-
pretty sure they took that team away.
Ooh, I didn't know they took it away.
I don't know. I saw a rumor on Twitter. This was like 3 months ago after they announced Brandon Jones coming back full time, and in that 18 car, like, who's driving the 18 this season? Did they announce who's driving that 18 car yet?
I
this
don't know
season?
that.
Oh,
I
it
don't know
was,
that it's been.
It was what's his name? What's his name?
Truck Series.
I can't remember what his name is.
It's not Herbst.
I know it's not Herbst. What's his name?
Anyway, I am blanking on who that is too. I might look that up really quick.
Oh
But,
no. Okay, my fault. I was thinking of Hemrick because Hemrick went to college.
no.
That's what
No,
I was
Yeah,
thinking
he
of.
left.
I
That's
don't
what I
know
was
if they've
thinking of.
revealed anyone for that 18 car. So that could mean that maybe if they run 3 cars this season, we could be seeing Trevor Bayne and Ty Gibbs full time for Joe Gibbs Racing. I just realized, wow, that'd be crazy. Could you imagine that?
Yeah, that'd be pretty.
Trevor
would make
Bayne comes
sense.
back to full time racing for Joe Gibbs in Xfinity, and he makes a cup comeback.
Yeah.
The 2011 Daytona 500 champion. That's insane. Anyway, that is our motorsport media.
Because I wanted to say it because that sponsor that you can see on whoever's chest that is, that's like
Yeah.
Trevor Bayne's youngest brother, like his sponsor, like they've sponsored him for like ever.
Yeah.
now. So like that's where I get my speculation from, that it may be his younger brother. But I mean, it could be like they like linked or whatever, and
Maybe they
now it's
sponsor the
Trevor
family.
Bayne's. Yeah. So,
Right.
I don't know. All I'm saying is that the silhouette looked like Trevor Bayne. So anyway, let's transition into talking about the LA Clash. NASCAR is back officially. Last Sunday was the LA Clash at the Coliseum, and in my opinion, I see this as an absolute win. I just thought it was a good race. Obviously, let's just talk about the heats really quick. So 4 heat races, 2 last chance qualifying races. Let's talk about the first 3 heats really quick because the first 3 heats were kind of boring. Not gonna lie, like not a whole lot happened. Obviously, it was extremely interesting to see these cars on the track. Wasn't a whole lot of cautions. It was just good short track racing. I felt like Kyle Busch dominated Heat 1. His only real competition in that one was, I believe it was Daniel Suarez was in that one. Pretty much those are the only 2 cars that had really any shot of taking the Heat victory. Heat number 2 was dominated by Tyler Reddick. Heat number 3 was dominated by Justin Haley.
Honestly, heat number 4 is dominated by Logano too. So
For real, just a lot of stuff happened in Heat 4.
A lot of action happening.
So Heat number 4, it was just crazy. There was a lot of crashes, lots of spins. Austin Cindric was giving everyone the bump and run. ended up being won by Joey Logano. Around that time is when I think we all started to figure out that it was really easy to spin these cars out. All you had to do was like touch them, and then they would just fly around.
Well,
So that was
another
interesting.
another thing. So everyone was like obviously expecting this to be a wreck fest. There were no cautions until the fourth qualifier,
For real.
the fourth heat.
Yeah. So interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting.
Definitely.
Lots of good racing. I feel like the most surprising things out of the first 4 heat races was the struggle from. I'm sorry, I'm gonna cough real quick. Sorry. We can edit that out. So out of the first 4 heats, the biggest surprise, in my opinion, was the championship drivers that were struggling. We saw Kurt Busch struggle in his heat race. We saw Brad Keselowski struggle. Not a championship driver, but a consistent championship 4 drivers in Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin. We saw them struggle.
Well,
And-
Truex struggled too.
Yeah, and Truex.
Truex bad. Like
The only reason Truex made the show was because he was the highest placing points driver after
Larson.
all the heat after all the heat races.
Yeah.
And so
And then, but with that, like, this is just something that like I noticed like during the race, like, a lot of people were questioning that strategy decision, and so like Truex, like their whole strategy there was they were like, we've already got in the race, like yeah we'll have really crappy position, but like we could run the extra one, and no matter what we're still in, but like if we run the extra one, even if we do better, like we're risking like messing up the car,
yeah.
and we just don't want to do that.
Which
And
that's
obviously-
smart.
And Denny was like, I don't know why he did that. Like,
I mean, and
you're
we
gonna
obviously
get in your
see
fast
it
card.
as
Yeah.
Let's go to the last chance
Denny
qualifiers
then
really quick.
noticed.
Yeah.
Denny then noticed why the strategy
Yeah.
was made.
And in the last chance qualifiers, in the first last chance qualifier, 50 laps, not a whole lot of action in that first last chance qualifier. Pretty solid racing, dominated by the number 11 Joe Gibbs Toyota of Denny Hamlin. Now, I'm so excited to talk about this.
Yeah.
The last chance qualifier, number 2. Oh man, there was only 9 cars that were on the track, as Martin Truex Jr. did not do this last chance qualifier. Here comes the wrecking ball himself, Tyler Dillon. That's not his name. I know it's just Ty, but Ty Dillon and that Petty GMS Racing Chevrolet arrived. I don't want to just say that it was Ty Dillon. Every driver in the back, Landon Castle, Austin Cindric, Brad Keselowski, Ryan Preece, they were all sending each other.
The 38.
The 38, Todd Gilliland,
Todd Gilliland
even
was,
though
like,
I
in
think
there.
they were in the first LCQ.
Was that the first?
Yeah, that was where Almirola.
Okay, I couldn't remember if the
Almirola
Almirola
crashed.
crash
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
in the first or second.
Both 2311 racing cars were in LCQ number 2 with Bubba Wallace and Kirk Busch. They were towards the front. In the front 3, it was them 2 most of the time, and Ty Dillon. Those were the front 3 cars.
And Burton, Harrison Burton. was
And
up
Harrison
there a lot.
Burton. Harrison Burton was in the front for most of the time. Obviously, only the first 3 cars advanced. First big thing that we saw wasn't really a caution. It was Ty Dillon jumping the restart after a caution. And
oh boy, was that some foreshadowing.
oh man.
Sheesh.
So if you didn't watch the LA Clash, Ty Dillon arrived. As I said before, he pulled a NASCAR Heat Evolution 3 strategy, which is just to wreck everyone in sight until
Miley
you get to the
Cyrus
front
style.
and win. And
that man came in like the Kool-Aid man. Oh yeah.
oh yeah. And to be honest with you, it almost worked. And
Yeah.
with coming to 2 laps to go after there was a caution in the back, I believe for Austin Cindric, Ty Dillon was in the lead. And then he actually took the checkered flag and won the heat. And the 3 cars that advanced were Ty Dillon, Ryan Preece driving the number 15 for Rick Ware Racing and Bubba Wallace, which left Harrison Burton out. Other drivers that were left out of that heat ended up being Brad Keselowski, Austin Cindric, and a wrecked Kurt Busch machine along with Landon Castle's car. So it was an interesting heat race. But then they cut to commercial, and then Bob Pockrass says, no, he jumped the restart. And then Twitter explodes. So this leads Ty Dillon to be disqualified for jumping the restart at the end, which means that Ryan Preece and Rick Ware Racing won LCQ number 2. Very cool for Ryan Preece. Glad to see he got some respect on his name. And if we want to go back to LCQ 1, Cody Ware ran incredibly well in the LCQ number 1.
Whoa.
And those Rick Ware Racing
expect that
cars
from
with
him.
those Stewart-Haas engines in them, they're going to be a lot better. And I hope that we see that consistently throughout the season. Maybe they go from being top 30 to possibly being maybe even just top 20. And maybe top 25. I don't want to push top 20.
Yeah.
I think anything for them any jump for them is
For real.
gonna be impressive. Like they're consistently known as the bottom feeders.
They're known as
And
the Haas of NASCAR.
Yeah, like they're known for
It's kind of
holding
funny
up the
because
pack.
now they
Yeah.
have Haas engines in them.
And so like to go from like being known for holding up the pack to all of a sudden in this clash hearing like I forget who it was, but he's like, oh, he's being held up by Cody Ware right now. I was like,
Yeah.
hold on, like
I
pause.
just hear AJ Allmendinger under pressure from Cody Ware, and
Yeah.
Mike Joy has often like there's that meme last season where it's like, oh, it's Cody Ware, and I was just like, and over here on the Indy Boys Racing Podcast, we love Rick Ware Racing, we love Cody Ware, we love Ryan Preece. It was just really cool to see those guys run up front, and obviously
Tear from
Ryan
my
Preece
eye.
get a win, the short
Man.
track ace himself, making
Yeah.
the final show.
That's
But
enough to
now
make a grown man cry.
let's go back to Ty Dillon. Was his penalty fair? Did he jump the restart at the beginning? In the final restart? Yes, he did. Do I think that NASCAR should have penalized him for that? Probably not. But I think they penalized him because it was for his own safety. Because Mans
everyone else's.
was sending everyone. And there's no way that Harrison Burton was not going to go up to him and punch him in the face.
Oh,
Man,
100%.
honestly.
Afterwards, you saw that Harrison was happy that he won the final. He made the show, but he was so mad
He was
at Ty
fuming,
Dillon
bro.
because Ty Dillon wrecked him for the first position. You're gonna improve one position at the Clash, it's an
Right.
150 lap race with a halftime show. You're not gonna. It's not gonna be that much of a difference, and obviously it ended up being a big difference for Ty Dillon. I think the penalty was fair because he was gonna go out there and get sent Eric Almirola style into the wall, and
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I just was, yeah,
I mean,
for Ty Dillon's
like,
safety.
if Ty Dillon made the race, we saw Justin Haley get punted for being knocked into someone else.
Yeah.
Imagine how hard Ty Dillon would have got just punted by someone in that race.
Full sent.
I like Ty Dillon, but holy crap, he was a moving wall.
Yeah.
He was literally driving chicanery. I know that gets that gets thrown around a lot, but when I say it there, holy crap, do I mean it? He was if there almost every wreck or caution that happened, even if it wasn't directly his fault, somehow his car was involved.
Yeah.
It got funny after the third time. I'm not even gonna lie.
And it wasn't like that 42 car wasn't fast. Obviously, they had problems in their heat race with, I believe they had an electrical issue. Glad it got fixed. But
That's not what we were expecting.
I was not expecting it at all. I mean, kudos to him. He's he's a short track racer, and I think that we can put Dillon up there as a threat at possibly like a Martinsville later in the season because he found a way.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't do it in a points paying race.
Obviously, they gave him the black flag, but I don't know. I was kind of enjoying it, but obviously I was like, okay. After the 6th time that he did it in the race, I was like, okay. And I believe he caused 9 cautions, if I'm remembering right, in that LCQ.
I don't even know.
I don't know. Jay, what do you think about Dillon's penalty?
I think it was fair. It was justified, and let alone like if he did make it through to the clash, like the actual race, and like he didn't jump the final restart, I still feel like he should have got some type of fucking penalty or some freaking penalty to take him out of the race, because he didn't deserve it, in my opinion. Like, I get it, short track racing, right? Like rubbing, bumping, whatever. This dude was just sending people though, like every corner, like oh my god, it was so like at first I was like, okay, this is entertaining, it's fun. But after a while, it gets to a point where you're like, okay, you got to calm down. Like, you can't keep doing this every single corner. And that's what he was doing every restart. Like, Bubba got pushed by, actually, it might have been Ty, actually. I can't remember, though. Don't quote me on that. But
I think it was, I think Ty pushed Harrison Burton into Bubba, and Bubba hit Kurt Busch, which sent Kurt Busch into the wall.
That's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was. That's what I was trying to remember, yeah. And like, oh my god, like just like you said, Daniel, anywhere his car was on the track, it was somehow involved in one of the cautions in that entire LCQ. And I want to talk about the LCQ because I don't know if you guys have ever been karting like with bumpers on the sides, like all the way around.
Oh, I have.
Yeah. So that's exactly what it reminded me of. So like most of the time in karting you kind of get spread out, but like if you're with like bumpers and stuff, the carts are slower, so people are closer together. People will just literally send people, and that's what it reminded me of watching that entire LCQ. Honestly, I was like, dude, this literally just looks like someone going to K1 and just racing, like paying $50 a race and just going out there and throwing people into the wall and stuff. So.
Note to self: if you go to K1 and you see Dillon, run. Go the other way.
Yeah,
go the other way.
Yeah. Well, it's not even his. It's not even his car, so he doesn't have to worry about it. So.
That was funny. All right, so that was the heat races and the LCQs. The highest viewed qualifying event for Fox and all of NASCAR since the 2016 Daytona 500, Adam Stern reported. So that's awesome. Super cool. We never got to see heat races at Bristol Dirt, but if they have these heat races again at Bristol Dirt later this spring, I will for sure be tuning in. I thought that was awesome. All right, now let's go to the main event. We had 2 performances. The first one before the event was Pitbull. Mr. 305, Mr. Worldwide, went out there and was dancing with some ladies in some checkered like onesies or whatever they were in, like bathing suits. I couldn't tell really from what it was on TV. Yeah. I was kind of trying to figure out what was going on with Dillon during that performance, but it worked. It looked like people were excited. There wasn't a whole lot of people in front of him, but it was a cool performance to see.
Yeah, I thought that was weird with the performances. Like, I don't know why they didn't just put him like right in the center of the arena.
For real.
Like
they were just kind of like by the torch.
Yeah, and, like it was.
They had him where they had him where the driver intros came down.
Yeah,
that was just
right
kind
where,
of like the
at
presentation
5'5", weighing 135 pounds. Skylar Reddick. He literally was like
he literally just went.
And they didn't do that for anyone else.
Yeah.
And it just killed me. I thought that was hilarious.
Next time they do driver intros, can they not just make it sound like they just found random facts on Wikipedia? Like when they introduced Chase Elliott.
This guy's a racer.
No, do you remember what they said for Chase Elliott? They said his name sounds like a race car driver.
Yeah.
It's Chase Elliott, and I was like, what? Like, you make it sound like his name is like Racy McCarstein. Like,
no, Scott Speed.
Yeah, like that makes sense.
That literally is a race car driver name.
Yeah, I know. Like that at least makes sense. Like
Lightning McQueen.
I don't know. they
Sounds
could've
like
done
a
better
race
with
car
intros.
driver's name.
And then we had the halftime performance with Ice Cube, which I thought was way better
Fire.
than Pitbull's performance. Absolutely fire. We don't really need to go into the details about the halftime performance, except for the fact that I did, right when the halftime performance happened was when the racing was just starting to get good. And so I was kind of like, oh, Joey just passed Kyle Busch. But then we got to listen to Ice Cube, and I thought that was kind of dope. So
Can
Yeah,
we,
like-
I do want to say something about the halftime. Did you guys notice the Fox cameraman that just zoomed in on like this group of girls that were just standing there every time?
I
Like-
loved the crowd cuts. They cut to some like middle-aged mom that was just having the time of her life. She was like,
She was going like this.
he was like, there was the girl that was double fisting. She was just like,
I-
just
I-
vibing.
I know the Fox coverage was like very questionable at times, but that was the highlight of the Fox coverage
Man,
when they would just cut
honestly.
to random fans just absolutely vibing.
And then there's
I-
like,
It reminded me, Daniel, of when we were at Jay. You weren't with us at the Indy Road Course, but we were at the Indy Road Course and we were on this hill, and there were all these hammered guys all around us, and they had made a circle of beer cans, and they were like they would sit in the circle and they would watch the race, and it kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah,
It was a weird. We don't really.
fans. Race
it was,
fan.
It was total race fans, and it was kind of dope. But
That is kinda
it was just
funny,
made me
but-
laugh. Anyway, so let's get to the main race. First 50 laps, we didn't see a caution until the 51st lap of this race, and it was I believe it was for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. as he got turned. After that, hell broke loose. Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, and Chase Briscoe all dropped like flies in literally 2 minutes of each other.
Yeah.
Denny Hamlin's, I believe, was he broke a power belt in his car, which means that you can't really steer the car. And then Tyler Reddick and Chase Briscoe, did they break the transmission? I think that was what it.
It was
Reddick
something
broke,
related to that.
Reddick broke a transaxle, which is kind of like,
Yeah,
which is
you
one of
can't-
the, it's one of the like supporting things on the suspension to the, like, I think he said it was either the right front or the left front, and it just kind of supports the suspension and stuff. And if it breaks, it's kind of hard to steer the car.
Yeah.
And they didn't interview Briscoe, but I'm pretty sure he had a very similar problem. Briscoe was one of the only guys that was shifting, like into the every corner.
Yeah.
So
It was interesting.
Yeah.
I kind of enjoyed it.
obviously I don't know a whole lot about the next gen car, but having three guys have issues in the car, plus Ty Dillon having an electrical issue, that's four guys out of the 36 cars that were there. That's not bad. But hopefully we don't see problems like this at Daytona. And if we do, then there might be some very mad NASCAR fans about this next gen, or I'm sorry, the Gen 7 car. Since we've officially had a race in the car, now we can call it the Gen 7.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was interesting. The main race itself, I didn't think was a caution fest. What do you guys think? Do you think it was like a crazy caution fest? The LCQ, that's a different story, but the main race.
I mean, like there were a lot of cautions, but like pretty much about like what we predicted, and like we didn't even have like high
And by we,
predictions.
you mean Daniel?
Yeah, Daniel said
Hey,
9.
didn't you say like 11?
I said
said-
24.
I said 16.
Okay, I guess I'm just. I thought we were more optimistic than
Nah,
that.
man, I predicted all the cautions together. I went back and looked, and I think that there was actually 24 cautions throughout
Okay.
all the
wow.
heat races, both the LCQs and the main event. I thought there was 24.
Dang.
Yeah,
So,
but
I
I
called
mean,
that part, I guess.
Yeah.
there were cautions. Like we knew there were going to be cautions, but it didn't like shift the race as much as we thought it would. Like we thought the race would go really long, and it was done. Like I would say the main event was less than 2 hours, right? Like
It felt like it.
It was it was only like an hour, wasn't it?
it was
Eliminating the
pretty
halftime
short, like-
show. Well, when you're on a third of a mile, like a
Oh,
quarter
no,
of a
like-
mile oval.
No, I think it's a
yeah.
good thing. Because
I thought it
one of
was
my
great.
complaints with NASCAR a lot of the time is I feel like the races go too long at times.
Yeah.
So,
That's a
like-
big thing.
Like
Yeah.
I kind of enjoyed the shorter, quicker pace, but
Yeah, it was
maybe
nice.
that's just me.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. We haven't even mentioned the winner of this race yet. Joey Logano wins the first official race in the Gen 7 car. So that's pretty cool for Joey. Had a really cool burnout. He did a burnout around the entire LA Coliseum, so that was pretty dope.
Yeah.
Now let's go to teams that looked good this weekend and teams that did not.
Don't forget Ryan Blaney throwing his Hans device at Eric Jones.
Oh my gosh, and Ryan Blaney throwing his
one-
Hans device.
How did no one of the 50K people
Yeah.
that were in this? How did no one get a video of that?
Yeah,
Not even
that's-
No
one.
idea.
Well, maybe someone did, but they haven't posted it anywhere. You can't find it.
I seen
There's
I seen one where he like jumps over the tires and runs over to the backstretch wall, but then it stops. That's all you can see
Yeah.
of it. You don't see him throw it at all. None of the Fox cameras caught it.
'Cause
Nobody
Blaney's
other than that
pretty
one
level-headed.
person. Yeah, like,
Blaney is pretty level-headed, so I was surprised. They're like, "Oh yeah, he threw his device," and I was like,
Well,
"Ryan Blaney?"
I don't know, but
Yeah.
Eric Jones did have a good run, getting a top 5. So, I mean, it's short track racing. That's all I'm gonna say.
it happens.
The guy that says it's short track racing won. Eric Jones is a short track guy. Short track racing. So let's go to teams that looked good this weekend that we did not expect. Jay, you want to go first with teams that you thought that were good this week?
Yeah, like surprisingly, Rick Ware Racing was pretty good. I say Rick Ware because like Cody Ware, I know he didn't advance on, but like in his like heat in the LCQ, I mean, I don't think he ran like super bad in either of them. I don't think he was
His
like
heat wasn't the best, but his LCQ,
Yeah.
he
was
almost
up there.
advanced.
Yeah. Colleague, I wasn't Justin Haley especially. I wasn't expecting Justin Haley to come out and be that quick in a colleague car, but like colleague surprised me. I'm not gonna lie. Like they were pretty quick.
Both their drivers advanced.
Yeah, both drivers advanced too. Yeah. Trackhouse. That's my last one that I'm surprised by. That,
I mean, I feel like it was only Suarez though. Like Chastain kind of had it bad.
Yeah,
I think Chastain was getting kind of like the short end of the stick on everything.
I don't know if Chastain just had something wrong with his car, but
I think he was kind of.
He ran mostly well in the first the first heat, and then but then that battle with like Denny, Blaney, Stenhouse just kind of pushed him out.
yeah.
So
I think he was kind of in the same boat as like Bubba. I don't think they got the setup right at all the entire weekend.
Yeah.
Because I don't think.
Which is crazy because Bubba pretty much dominated his LCQ.
Yeah.
And I mean, when he got to the main event, it was obviously a huge struggle. Daniel,
Yeah.
what teams did you think that surprised you this weekend? That you were like, wow, I didn't walk in expecting these guys to do good.
you know, you could say certain teams, but the team that really surprised me the most was RCR. Obviously, Tyler Reddick led the majority of the laps that he was in. Obviously, he wasn't able to finish the race because his car kind of broke down. But also, like, just besides him leading a good portion of the race, Austin Dillon came in P3.
Yeah.
P3.
Dude, Austin Dillon's not a short track guy. That's the thing.
Yeah, like I was very I don't know. Like I expected him to run like relatively well, like top 10 probably,
Yeah.
but not a top 3. Like I think we give Austin Dillon some crap sometimes. Like he has won big races, but we don't like he's not like a consistent winner, but like he looked really good. He looked really good.
Yeah.
Like
It wasn't bad.
I think RCR looked really good.
Yeah, RCR is definitely a team to look out for. The team that surprised me the most this weekend was Petty GMS. The 42 and the 43, they set those cars up right. Eric Jones obviously advanced in his heat race and ended up finishing P4. The Wrecking Ball himself, Ty Dillon, didn't have a good heat race due to an electrical issue. They got the car fixed up. And obviously he did extremely well in his LCQ, except for the fact that he jumped the restart twice.
Yeah.
But I just thought that they looked good as a team themselves. They surprised me coming into this weekend, and that was really the main thing that I took out of this. I was like, that it's not really a spec car, But these cars are a lot like we're gonna be able to see who the good drivers are now.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I took out of that. Overall, onto the teams that struggled this weekend. Jay, who were teams that you expected to do well that struggled this weekend?
Okay,
This
so
past weekend.
I feel everybody kind of had high hopes for 23XI going into the season. I'm not saying they did necessarily terrible, but and we never really got to see how Kurt Busch was gonna run on the main, so like we never got to experience that. But just 23XI the entire weekend just really did not have a good time. Like Kurt Busch struggled in qualifying, which I mean he kind of had to go first, and the track was kind of cold still. And he was one of the first people that had. I think he was the first car that had to go out actually. But he
Bubba was last in practice.
Yeah, Bubba was last
Like-
in practice. They just were not doing something with the setup good. That's all I gotta say. I don't know what it was, or like they just gotta figure that out. Cause like in my opinion, this is kind of their make or break year this year. Like they need to start kind of toppling over on
Yeah.
some things and breaking down on some things.
Yeah.
You got
It's not
something?
like we don't expect them to win races. You know,
Yeah.
like I have both Bubba Wallace and Kurt Busch winning a race this season, and I don't know. It's one race, and it's the first
Yeah.
race of this brand new car. So
Yeah.
I don't feel like we need to have the people jump to Facebook yet. But
God.
like,
They
oh my
already
gosh, I
were.
saw the tweet
They
where
already
it was
were.
like, I wonder how Kurt Busch is doing. Kurt Busch looks like he's running top 10. Like, he got 30th in
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah.
Like,
They
those
literally
cars were
ran
not
our-
set up right.
No way.
And
No way.
I don't know. Just yeah, I feel like 2311 Toyota as a whole struggled besides Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
And like out of the 6 Toyota cars,
Kyle Busch was the only one who did
yeah,
good. 'Cause
Denny struggled.
he ran up front.
Truex struggled. Bell was okay.
He was like
obviously,
mid-pack though.
yeah. Kurt
Right.
Busch and Bubba Wallace struggled, but yeah, Toyota as a whole was disappointing. The team that I thought was most disappointing, that I actually had higher hopes for, was Spire Motorsports, and Corey LaJoy was rough. He was getting beat by Live Fast Motorsports at one point in time, and that Live Fast car wasn't doing very well either. BJ McLeod and
I'm pretty
Matt
sure
Tiff's team,
he got lapped in Heat 1.
he did.
Yeah, early
Yeah.
on.
But Corey LaJoy had a rough time. Landon Castle did a little bit better in that 77. That car was a little bit more set up, but they both missed the main event. And I am an avid Spire Motorsports believer, but it was rough. And so hopefully they can get those cars set up a little bit better for Daytona for the 500, as both Landon Castle and Corey LaJoy are great super speedway drivers. So hopefully they get better over there. Daniel, what was the team that struggled that you just want to point out?
So I'm honestly surprised neither of you said this team, but RFK. Like,
Oh yeah,
I
I kind
know
of expected it though.
here's the thing. Like, it is still Roush, and they're not what they once were. They're not a powerhouse. They're typically like a middle to lower middle of the pack team. But a lot of people, like, I don't know if it was just like, I think it was really the fact that Keselowski was coming in as an owner, and I feel like a lot of people, and like us included, I feel like we kind of thought like, oh, like Brad Keselowski's coming on. They're not necessarily going to be a contender, but they're going to be like better. And I think Brad Keselowski was running the number 6 car because that was the fastest his car could go. He was tanking
That was max speed.
really early
That was
on.
crazy.
That's
I-
funny.
I mean, yeah, he got last in his heat. I believe he got last in his LCQ. Actually, no,
not-
Kurt Busch did, but like still.
It was rough. It was really rough. And neither him or Chris Buescher made the main event.
Yeah,
I will say Chris
It was-
Buescher looked a little bit better than
he did.
Chris Buescher looked better.
than Brad.
He looked better than Brad, but oh, they
But paint
I don't
scheme
know.
wise, they had the best
The
paint
best
schemes.
paint schemes.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
they've got
That violet
great,
defense car was
Oh
beautiful.
my god.
they've got great looking cars, and lucky we got to see him like in better because they were going slower than everyone else. Again, I like RFK, but
Bro, I'm
Dang.
they were
dead.
not looking good. And
They're gonna
I
take
know
back
it
their
is.
hair comment
I
about
know it
you,
is
bro.
it is the first it's the first race. It's an exhibition race. I'm sure they didn't put all their eggs in one basket in this one race. We'll be able to tell like further in the season. But yikes, it was a tough outing for them.
It was rough. It
was.
was rough. Hopefully they do better at the 500 and throughout the season. Obviously, I don't have crazy high expectations for RFK this season, as I do not have Brad Keselowski making the 2022 playoffs. But I do think that there's a chance that Chris Buescher makes a playoff push if he can get a win at possibly a super speedway,
Oh, definitely.
or
a super
maybe
speedway.
he just randomly like wins Phoenix. Like I can see like
Yeah.
Chris
Right.
Buescher like just having that kind of races. I believe I do have him as my dark horse pick for Phoenix this season. But I don't know. It really is that kind of way. Otherwise, with the race itself, there was not one cut tire all weekend, so that's good for those
yeah.
tires. Obviously, running 75 laps before everyone got new tires.
That's a testament
Pretty nice.
to the
It's good to
composite
see.
body too.
Good to see the composite bodies themselves. My dad and I, who sat down and watched the LA Clash this weekend, were super impressed with the fact
Oh,
that
yes.
these cars had to run headfirst into the wall to have any visible damage on them.
Yeah.
And as we saw with Justin Haley, Kurt Busch, Eric Almirola, all three guys that went headfirst into the wall. Even Ryan Blaney, you could barely tell that he had damage on his car after he got sent into the wall by Eric Jones.
Yeah.
You had to get put into the wall to do any damage to these cars, and the composite bodies held up. And yay, NASCAR, you did something right.
Good for now.
And like, I was very happy with that. Overall, the race itself, I put this on Twitter. If you guys don't follow us on Twitter, follow us on Twitter at Indy Boys Podcast. I put a tweet up. It was just saying, was the LA Clash a W, an L, or an N? And that's just a little reference to one of me and Daniel's favorite YouTubers, Troy Dan. But overwhelmed that the results that we got from that survey. 86% of our viewers that replied to that said that it was a W, and I agree. We didn't get a single response for L. We got 13% of our viewership said an N, which an N means you're neutral, an N means you don't care.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall I thought the race worked. It was good. If I had to put it on my own groovy gauge itself, man, I'm referencing a lot of YouTubers right now. If I had to put it on my own groovy gauge, I would probably put it at maybe like a 79%, 81 possibly. I just thought it was a good race. What do you guys think?
I personally put it at about 87 because
Okay.
like I feel like it was great racing. I mean LCQ number 2 was kind of a shit fest, but we can excuse that one. But the rest of it was like pretty good racing all around. The cars held up. Like we said, there was no cut tires all weekend. Other than the Hamlin, Reddick, and Briscoe dropping randomly like within like 30 seconds. I feel like it was a great like weekend for especially just NASCAR. It brought in a bunch of TV ratings. It brought in 50K fans to a 78,000 max stadium, something like that. I can't remember. And I hope some of the people that were there, because I know about 70% were brand new fans, and I just hope that brought in new people that are like, this is interesting. Maybe I should start watching this. Maybe I should figure out how this works. So I mean, I hope like our side of things, maybe explaining things, people can catch on, watch our stuff, or like especially Eric or Danny B and all of them, they can start producing more content to like appeal to newer fans as well. And like that's what I want to see. I want to see newer, not necessarily younger fans, but just newer fans in general just start to come to motorsports in general. So everything seemed to go to plan this weekend.
Yeah, I thought it was a good race. Obviously, there were some crappy moments, but honestly, even the crappy moments, like they kept you on your toes. Like it was
Yeah.
entertaining television, and that's what NASCAR wants. Obviously, like a lot of people don't like the fact that NASCAR like prioritizes like super speedway races because like it kind of seems like they're like promoting like crashes and stuff
And
because
the
like
danger,
it keeps the casual viewer entertained, but like for like the hardcore fans that like want to see safety and like just good racing, like that's been like a big thing. And honestly, I felt like this was kind of like a good mixture, and it's a good thing that the cars were holding up. Like there weren't any cars that had like huge damage, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Like,
Well, Justin
well,
Haley kind of ran
but
into a concrete wall.
even then, like whenever a car was like taken out like for the race, like Kurt Busch, Eric Almirola, like early on, like well, it is going to cost money to repair those cars. Like it looked relatively safe, so
Yeah,
I
there
think that's
wasn't
a
any
plus.
complaints from drivers on hits. Obviously, there were some pretty hard hits. Clinton Boyer was mentioning during the broadcast that it reminded him a lot of Martinsville,
Yeah.
and like a shorter Martinsville. Speaking of Clinton Boyer, in the booth, I thought Mike Joy, Tony Stewart, and Clinton Boyer did a decent job.
Great.
Tony Stewart
Tony
was
Stewart should be a full-time
amazing.
announcer in the Cup
Yes,
Series.
definitely.
Mike Joy and Clinton Boyer obviously had a little bit of
Just them moments.
not doing it for a while. There was like one time where Mike Joy was just like, I am lost for words. And I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Viewership itself for Fox, according to Adam Stern, who is at Motorsports Business Journal, Fox earned a 2.32 rating and a 4.283 million viewership score for the Busch Class, which is up 168%
Yeah.
in viewership from last year's Busch Class, and it is the best the event has done since 2016 when it was called the Sprint Unlimited. That is incredible for Fox. The second highest viewed daily TV broadcast all day on Sunday, only falling to the Olympics. It beat it literally beat like a lot. Like it beat the Pro Bowl. That was the goal, was to beat the Pro
Yeah.
Bowl. And
The Pro
we beat
Bowl
the Pro
sucks
Bowl this
anyway,
weekend.
in my
I
opinion.
mean,
Okay,
anything
yeah,
is better than two-hand touch football.
It wasn't harder to be more
Yeah.
entertaining.
Dude, for real. Like I was on Twitter, like people were literally going over to the LA Clash because people got tired of watching two-hand touch football, and not pitbull, two-hand touch football, and it was crazy. But overall, yay Ben Kennedy, yay NASCAR. I don't want to see stadium races every weekend, but I would
Right.
not be against seeing a stadium race in the future if the track is bigger, because you can't get 36 to 40 cars on a stadium track in the LA Coliseum. If they want to do a like 3/4 of a mile track in SoFi Stadium, I'm not against that. But it's gotta be a bigger place, and if they want to do something that is not an exhibition race in the future. So
Honestly, I wouldn't even mind if they did something like this again, but put it as an all-star.
an all-star race.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
okay, let's talk about this real quick. Like Texas Motor Speedway should not be the all-star race anymore.
No.
Destroy that track.
Like, it's not that I want to get rid of Texas Motor Speedway.
I do.
It's just that there's no point for it to be the all-star race anymore.
Yeah.
Like, sure, I got the fact that they were going to move it from Charlotte to Bristol
Yeah.
in 2020 because they wanted it to kind of be like the NBA All-Star game where it goes to a different track each year.
Yeah.
So when it went to Texas last year, I was like, okay, that's cool. I wonder where they'll put it in 2022. But no, they're keeping it at Texas because Texas wants to have 2 dates.
Yeah, because
the reasoning is because Cup can't race at COTA if they don't go to Texas. Is that right,
Like-
Dan? Is that what you were saying?
Well, I was gonna say just like Texas isn't an awful track. It's not the worst track.
It's not what it was.
It is not good though. It is extremely mid, and I don't get why NASCAR's like oonga boonga. We want Texas. Like it's not that good of a track, and like I would think you would want the All-Star race if you really want it to be this big event. Why do you want it at just such a like disappointing track? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And the fact that Joey Logano pulled $2 million in a lottery, like in a pole from this race. Like,
Yeah.
awesome for him. But like, the All-Star race is big because these drivers are walking home with $1 million, and 100,000 of that goes to the crew.
Yeah.
So like,
That's a lot of money.
NASCAR's got to think, after the viewership for the All-Star race is not good again this year, where they're gonna need to put it. And if the longevity of this event in the LA Clash, if they do LA next year, obviously you have to completely repave the track, as they're tearing it up literally as we speak.
Yeah.
Like, kind of sad. I wish they would put just the field maybe over it. But obviously that doesn't make sense. But
a little hard to execute.
It is disappointing that we're not going to be able to see this pavement ever again, because they're going to have to repave it. Do they come back to LA next year? I don't think so. I think that I could see them moving the Busch Clash to a different track every year. Could I see this being another short track? Yeah, I could see them going to like maybe a Bowman Gray, maybe we're in a Field of Dreams situation over here, you know?
Which would be cool, but like,
yeah, maybe
it's
IRP.
hard for NASCAR to do that, because I wouldn't be
I said it.
Nah, I wouldn't mind
I said
IRP.
it. So there's not. Yeah, you're right.
There's not the seats for it.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah, but
There's not
NASCAR
enough
but
seats.
NASCAR could come in and spend money, like, I don't know.
Yeah, but
It's just.
but you got to
I
think
love
about, at the
IRP, but
Coliseum, they didn't have to spend the money on the seats. They just had to spend it on the track, because the seats were already there.
Well, they won't have to spend money on the track at IRP. They'll just have to spend money on the seats.
Yeah, but like, here's the thing. At least like, with the pavement and the track, like, you can chip it up and sell it on NASCAR.com for $30 for like a little, you know, like.
Yeah.
Like, didn't they do that
What are you
with
talking about,
Atlanta?
Daniel? I've never bought any of that stuff.
They did that with
What are you talking
Atlanta
about?
this year when
If
they
they
were
do that
repaving
for
it,
the Clash, I would definitely buy one.
Like,
Oh,
I
for sure, I
would
will
not be
totally buy one.
surprised if they try to just make up a bit of that profit. Like,
Right.
but
will.
if you go to some track and build around it to basically like invest to make it a better venue, like NASCAR themselves are not really getting more out of that, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong. I would love to see IRPs or a smaller track like that somehow host the Clash or like an all-star race, but realistically, like,
It's
that
not
doesn't
gonna
make a
work.
lot of sense.
It
And
wouldn't
like,
work.
Yeah.
even if
I
you
guess
have
I'm
it
just
somewhere
kind of
like
relating it to the fact that,
if
like,
you have it somewhere in Indiana, like, you're gonna have it at the Speedway. Will the racing
Yeah.
be that great? I don't know. Could be.
but it's
You
also
never know.
February in Indiana.
Yeah, it's
And
snow.
as we speak, there's a foot of snow outside my window. So, like, it just doesn't make sense for them to not do it anywhere that's not in the West Coast.
Excuse me.
So, or obviously in Daytona. So maybe we see it. I'd love to see it possibly on that Auto Club short track next season, as that's supposedly going to be done next year. If that ever
I
gets
saw
done.
something that they have plans for it, but they don't think it's gonna be done next year. I saw something about that.
Oh, it was
it's
supposed to be
not-
done this year.
I know, that's the thing. that I saw something about that, and like, I'm glad you said that, because I didn't know if you had seen it or not. But they don't know if they're like, they haven't got the agreement to start working on it yet. Basically, is what I'm saying.
I don't know. But it's interesting. Anyway, LA Clash, was it a W, L, and an N? For my opinion, it was a W. What do you think, Jay?
Dub.
What do you think, Dan?
Old W.
Big old
It
dub.
was a W in our opinion. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching the Indy Boys podcast, wherever you're watching, or if you're listening on YouTube, on our brand new YouTube channel, Indy Boys Racing Podcast. Super exciting.
Go
If you're listening to us on Spotify, if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, we are hoping to get on more podcast networks very soon. If you listen to Google Podcasts, we're hopefully going to be getting this onto Google Podcasts soon. That's very exciting. Anything to say, Daniel?
All I'll say is we've got some plans potentially in the works. I'm really excited for, and I think not only like we will be excited for, but I think the viewers and listeners, they should be excited. We've got some things in the works. Just be on the lookout. Just be on the lookout.
Yeah, for sure. Be sure to tune in back at the Indy Boys Racing Podcast around the first week of IndyCar season, as we have a lot of plans for that. Anything you guys say, Jay?
Not really. Like, Clash was great. episode's been great so far. We had a nice long discussion about it. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Everything that you can. Download it on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever. Or podcast, Apple Podcast, not music. But no, that's all I gotta say. So what about you, Tristan?
And all I'm going to say is that NASCAR is back.
Yeah.
And I don't think this is going to be the greatest season ever. And I think we're going to shoot train at Daytona in a week and a half. But I'm very excited for this NASCAR season. I'm excited for IndyCar, F1, SRX, everything that's going to be coming this season. Thank you guys so much for listening to the Indy Boys Racing Podcast. Make sure you guys share on Twitter, on Instagram. Share with your family, your friends, your grandma. I don't care who you share it with. Anyway, I'm Tristan Grider signing off for Daniel, Chaney, and Justin Cox. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!